Not only can you take a load, you can take the ultimate load, and even better than that, that you find your true calling and destiny in your willingness to take the ultimate load.
In this world, cesspool of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole, bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She lives in a blue, letting cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like Katrina. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. The public lamented. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the blood you spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex podcast. We do the show live every Sunday on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. If you're listening to the podcast, come check us out live sometime. And if you don't know when to come check us out, and you're like, well, I already listened to this podcast, so I don't want to listen to it and then listen to it again. This Friday, that'll be in a couple days from the day this hits the podcast feeds, might be a good day because I'm doing a three-party co-stream with Neurodetergent and Redolent Thought, and it should be amazing. We're watching that new UFO disclosure video that came out. We're doing cryptids and UFOs all night with the West Coast Dystopia Beat stream team, or whatever the fuck we're calling ourselves. If you want to support this project, you can do so at eplex.store or at patreon.com/Echoplex. You can subscribe at the $5 or higher level. You get the entire recording of this. You get the entire recording of Down Ballot. Both of those include Red Light, and you get early access to those two. Those come out a day early. You also get early access to Used to Be a Spy and early access to the cast of characters videos as they slowly take form and come out. I'm Producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave. And as always, this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Like your local police, cause they don't do nothing wrong. Like your local police got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head to show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
All right, well, we're not going to cover this too much, but there was a shooting in Washington, D.C. of 2 National Guard members by a former, I'm going to guess, spy, actually, from what I could tell here. Just what I'm learning and what I'm not learning. But my own paranoid theories about what's going on there aside, here's Boxwine Janine Pirro taking or not taking any real questions about said incident.
There are people who are also upset with the president believing that the National Guard members should not even have been there if it were not for the executive order.
I don't even want to talk about whether they should have been there. We ought to kiss the ground and thank God that the president said it's time to bring in more law enforcement to make sure that a city that had the 4th highest homicide rate in the country was that violence was quelled. I'm not even going to go there.
Homegirl, fucking damn dude, don't drink the box of wine before the press conference. Drink the box of wine after the press conference. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know, maybe that is kind of an insensitive question, but it goes, the National Guard shouldn't fucking be there. There's like no real good reason for them to be there, I don't think. So here's Donald Trump taking some questions about the incident. And also just being shitty to women who are reporters.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. A question about this tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, but he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in.
Did?
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came in on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in.
Okay, first of all, I'm just telling you, if the next time the president does that to somebody, they should be like, you know what, fuck you, and just walk out. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. Sure, they're going to lose their job or whatever, I guess. But if by the time you hit the press corps for the White House as like a reporter at a large news organization, you're not going to have a hard time finding a new job at a smaller news organization. Plus, you're going to get to do the rounds. Maybe you get even grift on it. But more about the substance here. This guy was brought in because he was an informant. He was an informant for U.S. intelligence, so far as we can tell. And the reason that he was brought in and given legal status here is that if he went back to Afghanistan, they would have killed him because he was an informant. He had allegedly had ties to the CIA. This is all starting to sound like this guy is this guy was a CIA asset, not just an informant. But again, this is just my fucking burn notice addled brain talking here. But it just seems like there's more going on here. It seems like, and we're probably never going to know because, the CIA famously is not good at answering questions. I'm stunned actually that anybody at the agency even sort of tacitly copped to the fact that they had any association with this guy, if we're being honest. But we'll see how this all shakes out. We got more here. Here he is thanking our service members.
It's in the early stages, obviously, but do you plan to attend Sarah's funeral?
I haven't thought about it yet, but it certainly is something I could conceive of. I love West Virginia. I won West Virginia by one of the biggest margins of any president anywhere. And it's, these are great people. I love the people of West Virginia. I love the people of our country. But I haven't given it any thought, but it sounds like something I could do, yeah. It's very raw.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, there's going to be a memorial for one of the people who was assassinated. Are you going to go? He's like, fuck yeah, it's in West Virginia. The people there voted for me. Did you know that the most people there ever voted for me of any West Virginia president voter thing ever? He like fucking all the time he does this. He gets asked a question and anything comes up where he gets to like claim that he's some kind of winner or something. He just pivots and he's like, I'm the best. I got the most. It's like, dude, like, come on. Just say, oh yeah, I think I can attend. I believe I can attend. I'll be there with my wife or whatever. My fucking God. So here's Donald Trump, I guess on a phone call with the Coast Guard on Thanksgiving.
This is all of these places that got hit by the hurricanes and all of the different, the storms, the big...
Oh, no, this is him, I'm sorry, addressing the Coast Guard, not on a phone call with them. Oh my God, look at all that ugly ass gold in the background. Oh God, fucking President Tacky.
The big water storms, as they call them, but mostly hurricanes.
Big water storms? Motherfucker just called this hurricane, big water storm. Sir, also big windstorm.
You do, the way you go into those seas, I wouldn't want to do it. You want to do it, but I wouldn't want to do it. And I just want to thank you for that. As you know, we've ordered a lot of Coast Guard cutters, brand new, beautiful, the best machines in the world, the fastest, the best maneuverability, they tell me. I said, how's the speed and the maneuverability? I'm a looks person. I wanted the hull to be perfect. Dude,
he's like, make it out of gold. They're like, sir, it'll sink. He's like, make it out of gold anyway.
Sort of redesigned the hull a little bit, the hulls.
You motherfucker just claimed that he redesigned the hull of a Coast Guard cutter. Like, looks ugly. We need to redesign it. They're like, sure, sir. What do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. put Ivanka's face on it. They're like done.
We ordered a lot, and we're ordering icebreakers too that you're going to be in charge of. We have 11 of them being built right now. We had none. You know, we only have one in the whole country. Russia has 48, and we have one. That's ridiculous. So,
all right. Well, one of the reasons that the Russian Federation would have icebreaker ships is because they have shoreline where there's a lot of ice sometimes. Us, not so much. Not really all that useful to us, actually. I mean, we have one. I think that's probably enough, seeing as, like, you know, even at the very tip of Maine or whatever, there's not a whole lot of ice floating around the ocean. Stupid motherfucker. Why do we need, just because Russia has them? But you're so fucking stupid. I mean, like, whatever. The U.S. military wastes all kind of money on all kind of shit anyway, so why not buy fucking icebreaker boats we don't need? Like, what are we going to use them for? Here's the president addressing people with messages of hope and understanding on Thanksgiving. No. I watched this whole thing and I was like, I couldn't fucking believe it.
just fine. And I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you've done here is incredible. And I hear you having the same kind of success in Memphis, Tennessee, where you had an even worse situation. And Memphis crime is down 64% in 3 weeks. And by the time you have
crime is down 64%. How do you can't, how do you, what the fuck does that mean? That, like, hold on, folks. This guy is acting like we have, like, we measure crime every fucking 24 hours, like a moment in time to this day, the year of our Lord, November 30th, 2025. Here's the crime rate. That's not how any of this works.
4 or 5 weeks, you can have it down almost where there won't be crime. And we could do that in Chicago, by the way, if they would let us. If the mayor was a low IQ person, but he should understand this. This is a very serious thing. You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before. The woman with the burning, they burned the woman. To be talking about that now, they burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. 72 times, think of that. And they'll let him out again. The liberal judges will let him out again. But we're ready to go. You know, we've been moving toward Chicago. We have a governor.
Wait a minute. Did they light somebody on fire in Memphis on the train? I feel like there's something going on here that, I mean, I don't follow like regular news or whatever, but I feel like if they just lit somebody all the fucking way on fire on a train in Memphis, I think I would have heard about it.
That thinks it's wonderful that only like 7 people were killed this week, but we are moving toward doing, and we're gonna, if crime gets, it's horrible what's happening in Chicago. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it would be totally safe. And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at
you can make yourself think anywhere is safe if you tell yourself that by sending in the shock troops that you've made it safe. I don't think you can measure crime like in real time. I don't think it works that way. I think it's one of those backward looking things where you have to wait a while and gather information to figure out what's going on. I don't think you get to, I don't know. I don't think this is how this works. This guy seems to be full of shit again.
Of every newspaper, it's out of control. The mayor is incompetent and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly.
This guy hates cities, dude. I think he just hates cities. Like, you look at so when you when they release crime statistics, there's a cutoff somewhere. So you're getting crime statistics from like big cities, right? When they're like the safest or least safe cities, they're bigger cities. I think the cutoff is 500,000, I think, something like that. And so you're not getting like crime rates for like rural areas, and there's a lot of fucking rural areas where the violent crime rate is pretty fucking high. I know it's a little bit weird because there's places where there's only a few hundred people, right? So you get two murders and the crime rate, it goes sky high and stuff. But it's kind of misleading the way that this all gets talked about. We got more messages of hope and love from the president on Thanksgiving. Sure, I'm glad we're getting all this love and love for America, and I guess love for Chicago.
These are two of the largest turkeys ever presented to an American president, over 50 pounds each. It's the largest we've ever had. And those are big turkeys. Are they as good as the normal sized turkey? Better or as good? Do they tend to be a little fatty, maybe? No, he said no. He knows the turkey business. Anyway, despite their size, Secretary Kennedy has formally certified that these are the first ever Maha turkeys. I don't know if I agree with that. These are Maha. In other words, they could be fat, but they're still Maha. They've been fattened on a steady diet of grass, beef, to allow the smoothies and all of the other things that they've been eating for this occasion. This was a really big occasion, but they've eaten every fattening food that you can eat. We wanted to really make them special, and they really are. They're like record-setting. I've never seen a turkey that big before. Are they violent at all? Will they attack as I walk over? Because if they were, I'll stay right up here. But as
Isn't he supposed to pardon the fucking turkey? I don't know how this fucking works. Oh, the big turkeys are the best. Are they fat? Are they fatty? I don't know. The guy's the turkey expert. They're the first Maha turkeys. Oh my fucking God. Like what is happening? Here's more about the turkeys, I think.
But instead of pardon, some of my more enthusiastic staffers were already drafting the paperwork to ship Gobble and Waddle straight to the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. And even those birds don't want to be there. You know what I mean? It was a tough. I'd like to thank the president of that country. They do a rather efficient job.
A rather efficient job of what?
The largest prison in history. I've never seen anything like it. And a lot of people are behaving on our streets now. You know, Washington, D.C. is considered a safe zone. This was one of our most unsafe places anywhere in the United States. It is now considered a totally safe city. I won't tell you about murders. We're having murders, like a lot of murders, on a weekly basis. We haven't had a murder in 6 months.
I don't believe that's true. I do not believe that there hasn't been a murder in Washington, D.C. in 6 months. I just don't believe that that's true. But also, if you remember, do you remember back at like maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago when he said that like domestic violence isn't a crime? He said, "Oh, it's just a little fight." So maybe it was maybe the only murders that have been happening, which is most murders actually, or domestic violence. Anyway, that was our uplifting messages of hope and love from the president on Thanksgiving Day. Now we're going to move on to more of the president. He's meeting with the El Salvadorian president, Bukele, and he's going to talk about Zelensky. I don't know. I guess he's mad that Zelensky's trying to buy missiles. I don't know.
President Zelensky served out his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries.
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. You know, he's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size, and then hope that people give you some missiles.
So I don't know. They keep saying this. Fucking, I guess Ukraine started the war by sitting there and getting themselves fucking invaded. Like, yo, if we're being real about this war was started by Russia in like 2014, or was it 13, 14 when they invaded Crimea, and then it was, and they invaded, then they like started invading the rest of Ukraine. But does he mean like they started the war by like fighting back. I'm pretty sure that the Russian Federation is the aggressor here. I'm not a fucking foreign policy or international relations expert, but it's just how I see it. It's what I believe to be the case. So up next, I guess the incompetent U.S. attorney who was trying to get an indictment against James Comey and couldn't get an indictment against James Comey because they seem not to know how getting an indictment works. I guess they're actually highly qualified and just one of the best. I don't know. You'll have to. Here's Press Secretary Levitt on Fox News explaining it, or not.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking.
What's White House response to that, and what can we expect will happen next, Caroline?
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration...
Dude, that based on a homegirl, that's what the law is. That's what your lawyer is supposed to do. Is the whole thing is just a pile of technicalities. That's what the law is there for. What do you mean based on a technicality? Yeah, that's how this works. Yeah, technically, well, that's what the fucking law is. It's like the law is like supposedly a just version of the well actually guy on Reddit, right? I mean, the law obviously isn't just. We don't have a particularly just legal system, but the idea is that you have to do everything correctly or your case gets thrown out, because that's the law. Actually, that's how the law works. I'm not a lawyer, but I've watched Boston Legal.
Agrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
When they say a lie too, they're talking about, I think, the report that he gave regarding what these people call Russiagate. And I think because they think the whole thing is a lie, that they're thinking that he lied in like every way about that. But if you look at what he said and the stuff in the report, it's spent a lot of time hedging and saying what they don't know. Like they're acting like this was something where like the James Comey, who was the special prosecutor, special investigator at the time, was out there like making these bold, broad, sweeping claims and statements about the alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. No such thing happened. So up next, did you know that we're probably just doing everybody a favor, actually, if we go after Venezuela, if we were to invade or start a full-scale war with Venezuela? We're just doing favors for people.
So right there, the economy, security, and politically speaking, we're going to be doing a favor to us, to our children, to our economy, to our oil companies, to be able to liberate, and to the Venezuelans, that they do want to be free.
Well, no doubt it's going to be good for
Dude, you just let the cat out of the bag, homegirl. We're doing a favor for the oil companies. This is amazing too, because this just sounds like Iraq. They're like, first of all, like if you remember Iraq, everybody was like, oh, we're going to war to get some oil. Well, you know what we didn't even get some oil. Gas prices just went up, right? No blood for oil? All right, cool. Well, that was just blood for no oil, because, I don't know. I don't think you should go to war for oil, but if you do go to war for oil, I might fucking get some oil. History tells us that if we go to war here thinking we're going to get some oil, we're not going to get some oil. We've never gone to war for oil and actually ended up getting any fucking oil. But don't worry. The most incompetent the manufacturers of consent are going to attempt continue to attempt to manufacture consent anyway.
I mean, I would love to see a change in government. My wife's from Nicaragua. We know how terribly the dictators there rely on Venezuelan oil. But at the same time, a lot of Americans don't want actual U.S. participation in regime change in Venezuela. They would much prefer the Venezuelans to do it on their own. Do you think the pressure that Maduro has received will force him to leave on his own?
Oh, I think Maduro is not Fidel Castro. Maduro is not a brave boy. So now that he has understood that he's on that very...
Dude, she just called Fidel Castro brave.
Various list of the terrorist organization, that the airspace above Venezuela has been closed off and the commercial airlines from the United States are not flying. He's understanding that we're about to go in. He understands that he has been our enemy for the last 25 years. Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in, basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies will...
Yes. Okay. Got it. Understood. You just stop there. Actually. But again, this doesn't work. Fucking when was the like? What the? This isn't gonna help. Like, this is good for the American oil companies because as soon as if the conflict starts, they're just gonna everybody's gonna raise prices. They're going to be like, oh shit, there's instability. And they're just going to jack the price of your gas up by $1.50 and blame the Venezuelans for it. Like, this is why it's good for the fucking oil companies, you stupid fucks.
Field day, because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or anything that has to do with oil and.
Who is this? Who is Maria Elvira Salazar? Oh, they're going to go in and fix the oil pipelines. You know, anything that has to do with the oil, lady. You have no idea, You have no idea what's going to happen to you if you go into if the United States goes in, occupies Venezuela, and attempts to have like U.S. oil companies take over like the oil production. Those people are all going to get dead, right? There's going to be like an insurrectionist force, resistance force, a guerrilla force, asymmetric warfare, and they're just going to get fucking blown up. What the fuck? What she thinks? Oh, we're going to go in and like just take it over, and then after we take it over, they're just got to be like, oh, here's the oil. Here's the oil fields. Actually, here's the keys. Here's the keys. You can have our oil fields. Get the entire fuck out of here. Here's more from this. This is we're gonna I don't know, get one over on China, I guess, by fucking invading Venezuela. I don't fucking know.
In the House of Representatives and in Congress, we've come to terms and understood that China, we need to bring those jobs back, maybe to the United States, but maybe nearshoring or reshoring. Yeah. Maybe it's time to bring those jobs to Venezuela.
You're like, she's so far out ahead of her fucking skis, or I guess she's in Florida, so she's like way out in front of her like water skis right now, dude. Now we've skipped the whole like invasion and regime change and puppet state phase of this, and now I don't know. Now we're job creators in Venezuela. That's going to somehow. Then I lose the plot actually here, right? Because all the jobs, American jobs, got shipped overseas to China or something, and then now we're gonna do jobs here. Or maybe we'll just make jobs in Venezuela. What the entire fuck is this lady talking about?
Chile and to Bolivia and to Central and South America. They happen to be in our backyard. If the Western Hemisphere prospers, we prosper. It's time, and I salute President Trump once again, because he's looking back. He's looking in our hemisphere. And you just said it beautifully. Latin Americans are repudiating socialism. Yes. Why? Because they have lived it. I mean, I'm the daughter of political refugees. Cuba, you just said it. Cuba receives 100,000 barrels of oil for free from Venezuela just to stay alive, just to have the lights, just to have the to be able to breathe for a little while during the day, because you know.
By the way.
You know, there's a lot of people might say, and I might agree with them, that folks in South America have a healthy distrust of their governments for a variety of reasons, including there's just like fucking corrupt people get elected. They're just like anywhere else. But there's also, I don't know if anybody ever heard of the CIA? You know, a little group, they're called the CIA. Yeah. There's a lot of history there, with actually that relates to what she's talking about here, where the U.S. With what they believed to have been plausible deniability went in and helped affect regime change in places like Venezuela, places like El Salvador, basically all of South America. And I don't know. We have a bad rep over it. And yeah, the people there don't trust their government, but I'm not sure that it's for any like purely ideological reason, like she's saying. And if Venezuela and Cuba have some kind of trade agreement where, you know, Cuba gets oil, I'm pretty sure that Venezuela is getting something from Cuba in return. Don't know what, but I don't think that shit's a gift. Again, I'm not an international relations expert, but these people aren't stupid. Like, why would Venezuela just be like, here's 100 million barrels of oil, thanks for being Cuba? Like, these people are just us, but in Venezuela. Like, I don't understand. Anyway, there's this thing where some American like Democratic lawmakers who happen to be veterans were just reminding American troops that it is their duty to defy any unlawful order, any order that is telling them to commit a war crime, things like that. And here's Mark Kelly. This is confusing. So this is Greg Kelly on Newsmax saying that Mark Kelly, member of Congress, should be in jail. He's probably going to say he should be executed too, but I haven't seen this clip.
So, for all of our issues, and there are issues day to day, right? And people are worried about the midterms. Donald J. Trump is president of the United States. And for a long time there, let's face it, over the past 4 years, and that he should now be the 45th and the 47th president of the United States. That makes it even a little bit sweeter, right? This has only happened once before in history. Grover Cleveland. Now, have you seen the videos from the White House? It's actually pretty good. The whole they have this thing in the White House. Why not? Joe Biden deserves it. What he put this country through and the chance he was willing to take, and the people around him, a man who clearly could not do the job, they were going to fake it. And the media was cooperating every step of the way until that great big debate. 100 million people saw it and they couldn't hide it anymore. So, gratitude. I am grateful for the president and for a lot more than that, actually, for Newsmax and the material and content we're able to produce right here. You may have seen this if you're on Truth Social, but we did an extensive report on Friday, not only about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but about the whole sedition thing. Kelly and the others, I can't believe he's a distant relative of mine. Mark Kelly, that man I think he should be in jail. Anyway, the president was watching, and we did a great job with that. And I'm very, very proud and grateful, quite frankly, to him for the recognition and to everybody here at Newsmax on putting the show together. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it looks like we're just having fun, and we are, but it actually takes a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes, and the people here are great, management, everybody. So.
Okay, a couple things. Who fucking knows if this guy's a distant relative? There's a lot of people with the last name Kelly. They're probably not all related. But that auto pen wasn't like a Joe Biden invention. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Donald Trump used that device sometimes during his first term, and I believe that other presidents have used like automated signature devices. But I also just want to say that I'm not sure that working at Newsmax is a lot of fun. I'm just not confident that it's a lot of fun. It seems like not a lot of fun because you have to work with people like Greg Kelly. It is actually not seditious for anybody to suggest that a member of the military shouldn't obey unlawful orders, things like war crimes. It's just not. It's not even incorrect, much less sedition. But sedition now just means like anything that fucking really pisses off Donald Trump, I suppose. So, up next, apparently, Newsmax has been letting Carrie Lake on again, and here's that.
You're from Arizona. Why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't Mark Kelly already been court-martialed?
Well, I hope that what we're hearing from...
Well, he's retired. I don't think you court-martial people who are retired. What the fuck? I worked at, I don't know, X, Y, and Z company. That's like saying I should get called in front of HR. Like, I know that there might be cases where you could end up getting court-martialed for things that you did in the past that came to light after you had retired or whatever, but I'm not sure that you can haul somebody in and court-martial them for fucking saying something the president doesn't like after they've already discharged from the military.
The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is true that they are investigating this and that these considerations are being taken. I'm appalled for the people of Arizona that we have somebody who acts in such a seditious way who's representing us here in Washington, D.C. But I'm not surprised. I mean, after all, remember, Rob, this is a guy, Mark Kelly, who went into outer space. I think he left his brain there, but he's been whining and dining off of that accolade for his entire adult life. And then he used it to run for office. And when he got into office, he sold us out to the CCP. You might remember that spy balloon Chinese company, the CCP company that he invested in. And then you might remember the video of him riding his little motorcycle across the stage in China, waving on that motorcycle the Chinese flag. He sold us out a long time ago in Arizona. So I'm not surprised by this new video, this seditious video, for him calling for our military to disobey the commands of the commander-in-chief, President Donald J. Trump.
And it just
hope
seems
that we see some
Gary.
action on this.
I do too. Mark Kelly tweeted this out. This is very bizarre, but he decided to tweet out all of his military achievements. He was, and I'll read some of them. He was an ensign in the Navy at 22. He served on the U.S. Midway, had 39 deployments in Desert Storm. He flew 4 missions to space for NASA. We thank him for his service, but he says he won't stand for anyone questioning his record. He does have a great record, but so did Benedict Arnold, Carrie. Don't you have until suddenly you don't have a good record anymore?
Yeah, when you call for
you gotta all right, cool.
behave in a way that's seditious, your record immediately is tarnished. And his record, in my opinion, has been tarnished for some time. It's just that the American people maybe haven't known who he was or known much about it. But as I said, he's been cozy with the CCP, and we've seen some of his actions in the past. This doesn't surprise me. I hope to see some action on this, because if we don't see action on the seditious six, we're going to see more of that kind of behavior, and it could devolve into something truly dangerous for our great United States of America.
Wait, isn't it? I don't know. Isn't it like in the the Uniform Code of Military Justice that it is not insubordination to refuse to take unlawful orders? I think that's why they said that. I think it's like literally the fucking military tells you that when you join. I think that's why they're telling you that. I don't think they made that shit up. I swear to you that fucking when you join up, that's part of like the things that you read essentially when you join up, when you join the military. is that it is that you are not required to follow unlawful orders. Like, for example, like if you're out in battle, which you shouldn't be, the United States shouldn't be out fucking at war with everybody, and you're told to just execute a bunch of fucking prisoners of war, you're supposed to tell that person that you will not. That is like what you are like. That's what you are supposed to do, because if you obey that order, you are now responsible for killing those prisoners of war. Like, this is incredibly stupid. All right, we're going to move on though. This is there's two clips about the GOP healthcare plan. This is Mark Wayne Mullen on the GOP healthcare plan. I don't know. Seems great.
And what the president wants to do is bring choices back, right? Compare it to health and to your auto insurance. If you drive correctly, you don't get speed tickets, you don't have accidents, you get rewarded with lower health or auto insurance. However, if you drive fast, drive reckless, have accidents, you're going to have higher health or auto insurance. What the president would like to do is say, hey, if you take care of yourself, you don't smoke, you don't dip, you're not drinking,
you don't dip. What the fuck is what? It's like he's like nobody's. What the fuck? Do people still buy that shit? It's fucking gross.
You're working out, and then you should pay less than the guy that is obviously not taking care of himself. Well, the insurance companies, they want all those together, because it's their risk management.
Right.
And Obamacare forced them to come together.
Well,
that's why we're
running out of time, but I just got.
So hold on for a second here, but there's like something really important to understand here. Like, okay, if you don't get any accidents or whatever, yeah, your insurance is going to be lower than somebody who gets in accidents. In fact, even if you just get fucking rear-ended, right, your insurance goes up, which is fucking stupid because you're just fucking sitting there at the stoplight and somebody else hit you. But this would be more like some of this, like a good way to think about this is like if your brakes fail, like if you have a mechanical failure on your car and it causes you to have a collision with another car, right? Your insurance is probably going to go up, but it shouldn't. And so this is like if you have like heart disease in your family or whatever, you can't exercise that away. If you're born with it's any kind of like genetic defect, you can't exercise that away. No amount of broccoli is going to stop you from having just any sort of like genetic disease that's from genetics or infectious disease, right? Like you catch something, you catch any number of things that cause you to go to the hospital. Living healthy doesn't mean, like, if you're out there living healthy and you're exercising and you fucking fall off your bike and break your leg or like whatever, you're out there living healthy, you're eating right and stuff, but you still got hurt. And that's what your insurance is for. This also, like, the problem here is your car insurance doesn't actually cover if your car malfunctions, right? But your health insurance is there to cover if your body malfunctions. So this is like, it's a really bad analogy all the way around. And not all of our healthcare needs are a result of our own bad behavior. So up next, here's the president talking about apparently a healthcare plan that they want to somehow emphasize personal responsibility or something. I don't know.
Are you planning to unveil a healthcare plan anytime soon, and what do you expect to be in it?
Alternatives. I mean, I like my plan the best. Don't give any money to the insurance companies. Give it to the people directly. Let them go out and buy their own healthcare plan. And we're looking at that. If that.
But that's what we want to give people a subsidy to buy their own healthcare plan. The fuck do you think the Affordable Care Act is? Yeah, you're just describing the Affordable Care Act.
Looking at that, that's sort of taken off. That's what I like. Don't give the money to the insurance companies. They go out and buy their own plan. You give the money to the people. I like it the best.
Are you planning to extend those subsidies, those Affordable Care subsidies? Have you talked?
Somebody said I want to extend them for 2 years. I don't want to extend them for 2 years. I'd rather not extend them at all.
Will you do it this time?
Some kind of an extension may be necessary to get something else done, because the Unaffordable Care Act has been a disaster. It's a disaster. And I said it was when it first got put in. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of Republican votes, and the Democrats voted for it. It's a Democrat plan. And the premiums are going up, and it's the Democrats' fault. But, you know, they are negotiating with me. It's very interesting. They want to see something happen.
Who are you talking to on the Democratic side?
I can't tell you who, but we have a lot of Democrats want this plan to happen. They would love to see the money go to the people, and the people go out and get their own health care. And there would be nothing like it.
Are you?
What the fuck is the difference? I'm sorry, what the fuck? Well, the difference is they're going to give you less, right? Here's the difference. You're going to get less. That's the difference. Also, at first, he was talking about giving people money to just go pay the hospital, I think, which is a real bad idea. Like, I don't know what the fuck's the difference. Like, if you give me X amount of money to give to the insurance company, or you give the insurance company X amount of money to subsidize what I'm already paying them, and it's the same amount of money, the fuck is the difference? Oh, the difference is that if the money's coming directly from the government does have some leverage over the insurance companies to maybe push down premiums in some ways. But if they're just giving the money to me, I don't really have that kind of leverage. This is all fucking bullshit, though, because we could just be a normal country and just have government health care. I know people in those countries complain a little bit about it, which is fine. No system is perfect, but you hear, oh, the people there say that you have to wait in Canada, but you ask that person on that wait list in Canada if they would prefer the American system, and you're going to get a fuck no hoser from them, right? Like, that's the thing is, sure, there's some dissatisfaction with different healthcare schemas all over the world. But if you ask people who are dissatisfied in some way or another with their government or like universal health care, if they want to move to the U.S. system, you're gonna find very few people who are like, fuck yeah, how much is that? Fuck yeah, let me just pay that instead, and then still have to wait, and then maybe just get denied care. Actually, maybe go get the care, and then the insurance company doesn't pay it. Now I'm on the hook for what, $230,000? It's like, it's the problem with when they talk about this. So this is fantastic. This is from Fox News. Donald Trump said that gas is like $2 a gallon, which is not. It just isn't. You might be able to find it for $2 somewhere on one day, maybe one day of the year somewhere, maybe. And but here's them talking, and here's this guy standing right in front of a fucking gas station in Philadelphia talking about how, I don't know, it's just like a difference of opinion, actually, whether or not gas prices have been cut in half.
Gas prices. Well, what about that one behind me? Yeah, that's the most expensive gas in the state of Pennsylvania. $4.09 the average gallon, right here, about $1 more than the national average.
I thought it was $2.
And you know, people have conflicting views about gas prices.
But you just, no, wait a minute. What conflicting? You're just showing us the thing. No, what do you mean conflicting views? It's the same as last year. There's no conflicting view here. It's like to the penny, the same. What do you mean conflicting views?
Prices. The administration says it's lower than it was. Others say it's higher. Well, the reality is, well, you see it right there. It's pretty much the same as it was last month, last year, $3.05. That despite
conflicting views. Dude, you can't just be like, this guy's lying to you. It's the same. And that's good, actually. The gas has remained the same while the other stuff is, like, imagine if the inflation rate that happened, like, people are stupid. People are so stupid. It's just a different of opinion. Remember when, what was it, Kellyanne Conway was like, we have alternative facts. We're at that point again. Fuck buying gas. I just ride my bike everywhere and I take transit. So here, you know who is has their finger on the pulse of what the American people want as far as being able to afford to live? People at Fox Business, let me tell you. These are salt of the earth, working class, regular Joes.
So we hear so much about affordability. Here we go. Headline for the New York Post.
Yeah.
1 in 3 expect to slip into debt during this holiday season. I don't know if that's higher or lower than previous years.
No, that's about the same. Well, this is like, yeah, like people take on credit card debt to buy gifts and shit, like during.
We're paying more attention to it now, but here's what they say based on the poll. Compared to 1 year ago, the percentage of Americans who say groceries are higher, 85%. Utilities, 78%. Healthcare, 67%. Then you move to gas at 54%. ChatGPT told me that the average gallon a year ago at this time was $3.37.
And now?
This year we're at around $3.07 if the chat is...
ChatGPT told you. Oh. But you're the very network, the very same fucking network just said that it's the same. Also, that 66% number on housing is weird because I guess that's probably just the number of people who rent, because most people's rent does go up every year. So
is right about that.
Affordability is an issue, but what's the bigger issue for me is how these exotic new financing tools have been made available for consumers. Buy now, pay next year. Buy now, don't pay for 3 years. Buy now, never pay. And when we have this drug that people have, which is this access to credit, people are going to buy things that they don't need. And while we hear people talk about affordability, when you walk up and down New York City, you see a lot of people coming in and out of stores and a lot of people with bags. So is it affordability, or are people just not feeling comfortable with what they're spending their money on?
You know, and
well, also like the part of this guy lives in New York City, and this guy don't live in Queens, right? This guy lives in fucking Manhattan, right? You can bet that motherfucker lives in Manhattan, right? Maybe the Upper East Side or something. He doesn't live in the Village. Don't get it twisted. But you know, he's like, oh, I go to Manhattan and there's people with leaving Tiffany and all these high-end retail stores with bags. Well, yeah, that's what the high-end retail stores are there for. So here's a name y'all haven't heard in a while. This is Michael Savage. Michael Savage, of all people, disagrees.
I think the American worker right now is hurting badly. I think the economy is in the no matter what the Trump administration might want to be selling or telling us. You know, you can't tell people what they're supposed to be experiencing. Maybe they don't know what's going on. I remember that when Bush was president a long time ago, they put him through a supermarket toward the end of his administration to show that he's a regular guy. And they showed Bush Jr. checking out of a supermarket. And he said, oh, golly, BG, look at that. Look at that. It actually scans things. He had never been in a supermarket.
So that was Bush Sr.
When do you think Trump was last in a supermarket? See, if I were his advisor, I'd have him go to
the only thing he probably ever had to do with a supermarket is he probably evicted like somebody that was running a supermarket at a property he purchased.
Supermarket, not just give meals to people in McDonald's. I'd like to see him actually go in and see what people are experiencing. So I'm trying to tell you that unless the Trump administration straightens out where they're heading right now, they're going to lose the midterms in a landslide. Now, having said that, I don't want it to happen. I'm the strongest anti-communist you're ever going to find. My father fled communism. I know what communism does. Ask anyone who fled a communist country what's coming here unless we stand up to the communist front in this country like mom.
So this stuff that's going on, by the way, younger people who didn't grow up during like the Red Scare and the Cold War and stuff, when they're told that like the alternative to Donald Trump and all the problems we have is communism, some of those young people are gonna be like, well, I don't know, maybe we'll try communism. Like, these people don't understand what they're doing, right? They keep telling everybody, oh, all the stuff that's going bad and the way that everybody wants to solve it with communism. Well, friend, you're having the opposite impact, because young people are like, oh, fuck this guy. And so you're just having the opposite effect. I don't know what to tell you.
Donnie and occasional cortex and the others. Okay, so
you just called her occasional cortex. Get out of here.
Real job to do here. And really, I'm just trying to help steer the ship of state in the right direction. They're not listening, of course. I'm not in the in crowd as I was in the first administration. This administration is packed with Democrats and packed with people who are undermining Trump, as far as I can tell. Maybe not over.
Wait, who are the Democrats in the fucking Trump administration? Does he mean RFK Jr.?
Overtly, one of them, even the Treasury Secretary, came from George Soros. Do I have to say any more? So why would he hire a Treasury Secretary who worked for George Soros? Well, you could say, well, the man is competent. He knows what he's doing. He's nonpartisan, and he's a good money manager. I would say, okay.
That's not been not this. This guy is fucking a partisan. This guy like gets hell mad when he's asked questions, and he doesn't seem to know what he's doing.
Okay, that makes sense. But if he worked for Soros, Mr. Besant, which he did for years, I would say it has somewhat shaped his outlook on life if he already didn't agree with Soros. That's number two. And then you have Susie Wiles, who was his chief of staff, who is an individual who ran the governor of DeSantis's campaign for years. I think that's the background. And she's very competent, and she's running the White House right now. Is she doing a good job? Well, to some extent, yes. What would the alternative be? You say, well, you're bashing Trump day and night. Why don't you stop? I understand where you're coming from, but I have to tell you something. It doesn't mean I have to agree with every one of his policies. Moreover, I'm terrified the Democrats could win the midterms and then the presidency. I'll tell you as I sit here, that's what I see coming. I believe that the last election, and don't fool yourself and tell me it was 4 blue states and it doesn't matter. You're the only one left on earth who actually believes that lie. It was the magnitude of the losses that matter, not the losses per se. It was the magnitude of the losses. And so this administration is now almost 100%.
They keep showing these great pictures of fucking Mom Donnie. Look, every time they're like, look at this terrible guy. And you see this picture and he's all smiling, like fucking super good looking. Like, looks like a guy you'd want to fucking talk to at like a dinner party. Right? Looks like if you're in New York City and need directions, you don't know where you're going and you're a little confused by the directions on your phone, or maybe your GPS is kind of fucked up because all the big buildings are like blocking the signal and stuff. This might be walking down the street. You might ask this guy for like help. Who's like, hey man, I'm just looking for this place, right? They keep showing these pictures of him. They're like, look at this terrifying guy, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I mean, just vibes based. Looks like the fucking nicest guy in the world.
Tone deaf to what's actually going on down on the elbow thrashing level of reality, as the Chinese put it in the old days. Anyone could be a saint, the Chinese poets used to say, in their privacy of their own home, sitting at home. They act like they're noble beings. But, the test of a human being is down on the elbow thrashing level of reality. And I will tell you, on the elbow thrashing level of humanity, where the average American lives, the prices are too high, inflation is too high, jobs are not here for the people who worked for them, and they're being shafted primarily in the tech industry by Chinese and by Indians. Period. End of story.
Oh no. Oh God. Woe is the tech worker. This stuff. This stuff. Software engineers are doing just fine. They lose their jobs, but they have marketable skills. They're doing just fine. This is incorrect. But this, I mean, he's right, at least insofar as like that it's like out of touch for the Trump administration to act like these things aren't problems for people. But his problem isn't like that the Trump administration is full of a bunch of dumb fucks. He thinks these people are liberals. He thinks like Besant is a liberal because I don't even know, like he worked for Soros. Does that mean like, did he work for one of like a place, like did he work for a nonprofit or did he work for like Soros's hedge fund? Like, I don't even know like what the connection is there, but it's not like you're hanging out with George Soros every day if you work for a company that he owns or owns a stake in or whatever. Right. It's like saying if you work for Apple, you're hanging out with fucking Tim Apple all day long, and you're just not. Like, That dude, for all we know, he's never met George Soros. Just worked for a hedge fund, probably the hedge fund side. Here's a Transportation Secretary Duffy talking about the dumbest thing in the world. How, like, you know how if you're going to take a long flight, you're like, I need comfortable shoes, maybe an extra pair of socks, and I'm probably going to wear my fucking pajamas. Well, this guy thinks you shouldn't do that, actually.
We've seen an uptick in maybe a degradation in civility in the airspace, and so I thought it is appropriate to, again, you can't legislate that, right? You can't mandate it, but I think if you ask people, could we do better? Could we be better? I think.
But if you remember the lack of civility in the airspace, he's probably talking about during COVID. Do you remember when people would freak out on the flight attendant over the masks and shit? People would freak out at the airport over like longer lines and having to like stay farther away from each other and stuff. I remember that. I think since the COVID calmed down, I mean, COVID's still out there, right? People here have gotten it. I had it a couple months ago. It wasn't bad, but I did have it. I think it's probably gotten better. It's probably chilled the fuck out since then. But like suggesting that people like wear a suit and tie. No, now everybody's going to be wearing these uncomfortable fucking clothes on the plane.
You won't get a better result unless you make the ask. And so I'm just making the ask. Let's all travel better together. And again, I think it honors our country. It honors our families. It honors our fellow passengers. And so I've made the ask. And again, I think we can do a better job. And by the way, most flights are pretty darn good, and people do behave really well with one another. It's just a few of those times where, again, don't take your shoes off and put your feet on the chair ahead of you. That's just, or maybe don't play your movie without headphones on. Just some simple things that can annoy the folks around you.
But don't get in a fight is like, yeah, but wait, is Homegirl wearing a MAGA hat in that one?
We don't have to do that.
No, she's not, but it was an American. Like, yeah, fucking people get into fights on airplanes.
That's the ask.
Like, you're in a confined space. There's alcohol. I think like a big thing is get rid of the alcohol at the airport. Get rid of the alcohol on the flight. I think that would go a long way. I like having a couple cocktails on a flight, but I think you want to like decrease the chances of fucking shit going potato on the airplane. Get rid of the booze. I know the first class people would lose their fucking minds that they can't have a glass of scotch or a plastic cup of scotch or whatever. But get rid of the booze. Get rid of the sky lounges and shit. Like, but instead this guy was suggesting that people dress up to get on the airplane. Man, I think that would make people less happy. People would be in a worse mood if there was like, you also, in addition to everything else you have to deal with, now you got to fucking make sure you're wearing like khakis and a polo and sensible shoes. You're going to be on that fucking thing for 7 hours. Fuck you. I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, and I'm going to have like a flannel just in case I get a little bit cold. And yeah, don't kick the seat in front of you. Don't, wear headphones. You do all that. You can do all that stuff, but it doesn't really matter how people fucking dress. It's all really dumb. And yeah, don't, even no matter how frustrated you are on the plane, obviously, like understand that everybody else there is frustrated. Nobody wants to be on the plane, right? They all want to get where they're going. So just sit down and shut the fuck up and wait. So this is, I guess, a palate cleanser. I'm just going to say, good moose. Good moose. Hell yeah. Yeah, fuck the police. The people on the podcast, you might want to check out the video or check the docket. That was a moose fucking with a cop car. Good moose. Good moose. So now Barry Weiss has taken over the news department at CBS, and she wants to redraw the lines of what falls inside the acceptable debate. And she's got a couple examples of people who she thinks should be highlighted, whose voices should be lifted by CBS News. And you could imagine they're not moderates or liberals.
All of us see the moment that we're in. And all of us see that the choices that it feels like we have sometimes, which is Hassan Piker and Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes and, Andrew Tate, the kind of people that are.
Notice she couldn't even come up with like another liberal or lefty person. She was like, or Nick Fuentes and then she couldn't come up with anybody, and it was Andrew Tate. She couldn't even like just fucking bring any. She couldn't say any. She had no idea anybody like outside of the mainstream who's popular-ish or even just kind of pop. She could have said Sam Cedar.
Rising in the podcast charts, those don't actually represent our values, and I don't think that they represent the values and the worldview of the vast majority of Americans. And so this is an opportunity to speak for the 75%, for the people that are on the center left and the center right that still believe in equality of opportunity, that still believe passionately in the American project, that still believe in all of the things that everyone in this room believes in, which is liberty and freedom and individual responsibility and in the most basic level, the right to know what is actually going on in the world, not the world as propagandists and ideologues imagine it to be, but what's
This is amazing. She is a propagandist and an ideologue.
actually going on in the world and in your community, so you can make decisions about where to send your kids to school, about where to live, and about how to vote. That used to just be normal, and the goal of what we're trying to do at CBS is to get back to that normalcy. And I feel incredibly energized and enthusiastic because I think that is where the vast majority of Americans actually are.
Well, wait, the little Ben Shapiro's there. What the fuck?
So that articulation of that set of goals to speak into the lives of the 75%, how are you going to do that? What's your strategy for success?
So I think one of the problems is a lot of people have tried to do centrist news. I know this because I am like the target audience for those things.
No, you're not. She's one of those people that, like, let's say the ideology is like a 2D landscape, or let's just say it's like a landscape, right? It's like a plot that's like a giant like square plot of land. Homegirl just like figures out where on the ideological landscape she is and decides that's the center, and then builds an ivory tower there and looks down on everybody else from it. That's not centrism is stupid. That's not that's not being a moderate. That's being a different kind of ideologue.
And the reason that they have all failed is it's like trying to force feed spinach down someone's throat, right? It's felt very like tofu, oatmeal. It's like,
I'd like to know who she is, she would say is doing the centrist media that isn't working.
Centrist news is choosing the midpoint between every single topic. It's felt like an absence of charisma and identity. And I, as nostalgic as people might be for an era in which 30 million Americans every night watch Walter Cronkite and saw him as the voice of truth, and I understand why they're nostalgic for that. We're not going back to that. So how do you build trust in a moment of unbelievably low trust in all of our public institutions, especially the mainstream press? I don't think it's by
bring in a liar like Barry Weiss, who, when she quit the New York Times, claimed that she was leaving because she was being harassed in an anti-Semitic way in the company Slack. And then when asked for any evidence of that, not only by people, but by HR and by the CEO, the outgoing CEO of the New York Times, she couldn't present any. And then they searched through the company Slack, which includes her DMs and stuff. I mean, this is all, if you're on the company Slack, it's all, the company can see it all. They couldn't find any of it. So this is how you restore trust, is by having lion-ass Barry Weiss take over your newsroom.
Pretending like we can go back to having a view from nowhere. I think it's about who's in the room, right? I think it's about redrawing the lines of what falls in the 40-yard lines of acceptable debate.
So she wants to decide what the Overton window is.
acceptable American politics and culture. And I don't mean that in like a censorious gatekeeping way. I mean having people that are clearly identifiably on the center left and on the center right in conversation with each other. And we've been doing so much of this at the Free Press. I was in
who are the center left people that you've been have conversations at the Free Press? Who are the center left people?
Chicago last week, I think, I've lost all track of time, where Dana Lash, former spokeswoman from the NRA, was debating.
Dana Loesch, what center right?
Debating Alan Dershowitz on.
Alan Dershowitz that's who she thinks is the center left. Alan Dershowitz. Okay, listen. Alan Dershowitz's baggage has baggage. First of all.
Guns. Now, these are people that have wildly different opinions on the Second Amendment, and yet showing that they can have good faith, very passionate, very charismatic disagreement and still like each other at the end of the day. We think it's important. And so for me, it's always about the curation, like who's in the room? How are you showing centrist news, not as the absence of disagreement and the absence of charisma, but explicitly charismatic and disagreeable, and yet doing it in good faith. And the other way you do it is, by being really honest with your audience. Like,
oh my God, her example of like a moderate lib was Alan Dershowitz. You take from that what you will. I suppose. Okay, so Alan Dershowitz does have a different view on guns and gun control than Dana Loesch does, because she was the spokesperson for the NRA for a reason. And she was crazy. She was like absolutely crazy. Alan Dershowitz may have more of a position on guns that may align in some ways with some Democrats, but that doesn't make him a liberal. It just means he's like less conservative than she is on guns. Up next. Oh God. Oh, this is not great. We got Russell Brand. We got three clips, but two more individuals. We got Russell Brand. He's cracked the code on the Epstein stuff.
All of us are under attack, aren't we? The Epstein Island is a perfect paradigm to understand how all of us are ensnared. Powerful people are compromised through sexual temptation that's been used to blackmail them, isn't it? That's what Epstein Island amounts to. But then you think of like the Diddy parties and Hollywood. Everyone there is sort of compromised and kept in line. And then below, all of us carry a degree of shame. People that have looked at pornography or paid for sex, and even beyond the strata of sexuality, people are sort of tethered to worldliness through shame. While you may not have been subject to attacks to the degree that I have, you are compromised. And if you're not being attacked by their systems of evil, then you're not trying hard enough.
Whoa, dude, what the fuck, dude? What? I mean, that's a fucking take, isn't it? That is a fucking take. Oh my God. Oh no. Uh-oh. Man, fucking, man, that guy, this is a dude, he should have taken the bag and gone away, right? That dude, I mean, or like on this stuff, maybe, I don't know, shut the fuck up. Shut the entire fuck up, dude. Yeah, there's like what I believe to be credible accusations by multiple women against Russell Brand that the government of the UK is looking into, which is part of the reason maybe that he moved to Florida. But I don't know. These are all just allegations, and this is all just alleged. But also, not for nothing, I think he tried to go the contrite apology route, and then that didn't work, so he went the other way. Just fucking crazy. So up next, here's Candace Owens. We got two. They're kind of a little bit longer, and she has. We haven't been covering like her because I don't want to cover her like weird conspiracy theories about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There's some stuff we don't know about Charlie Kirk's assassination, but a lot of it is just like what motivated the assassin, right? Like there's a lot of questions there, but like what the fuck happened isn't one of them, right? And the idea, well, I'm just gonna show this to you. I got 2 videos here, and she's gonna make the wildest fucking claims. Check this out.
If there is anything to know about Kabbalists, it's that the numbers matter deeply to them. Numerology is important. So I say to myself, the numbers of the prisoners, they cannot be random. They are random, but they can't be random. They have to hold some sort of a meaning. They're all over the place, right? Some of them are 3 digits, some of them are 4 digits. There's no flow. Why would somebody do this? More than anything else, it's just difficult for you. If you're controlling this experiment, it's difficult to keep track of all of these numbers. When you just want to make somebody like 3, 4, 5, whatever it is.
Better get Tommy numbers up on this shit.
And then it hits me. Everything about this experiment is military. These numbers must be military. They must hold military significance. And lo and behold, I'm so ignorant about the military. I didn't know people that are in the Navy. How do you send a letter to someone that is on a military base? What does it mean when you put a zip code and then you have to attach to it a unit number? If you're going to send mail, it corresponds.
What does it mean when you send, like, one of my old addresses was 710 Nido. This was like 15 years ago. What does it mean when you have to also attach number 42 to that? What does that mean, everybody? That's weird. Why do we have to attach that? Wasn't the address good enough?
To military bases. And lo and behold, the prisoner numbers just so happen to correspond to 1971 military bases. And I'm going to go through those for you guys.
So I don't even know what prisoners she's talking about. I thought about putting this in red light, but I was like, oh, the docket's looking a little thin this week. And I'm like, well, we'll try to do this with the lights not red, so that I can see and be seen.
Right now, Doug Corby's was 8612. That is the number that was assigned for the Naval Weapons Station in Long Beach, California. Incredible. That one took me a while to hack, because apparently when it's a medical center, a medical facility, they give them what's known as DMIS numbers. But again, Long Beach, California. We then have Clay Ramsey, 416, correlates to the engineering team in Vietnam, the Naval CB team.
Homegirl, Vietnam was a long time ago. Oh God! But if she's like influential, this is insane. This is so crazy. You could just go back. You could, if you're willing to go back, right? You'd find any number, right? Like any number that's designating something for someone. The last 4 of their social, right? I'm not going to give you the last 4 of mine, although everybody's social security number's been fucking leaked to the dark web or whatever at this point. But you could probably correlate the last 4 of my social security number to the number on the side of a fucking submarine during World War II or something. Does that mean that I have anything to do with that submarine? Actually, the world may never know.
Team 416. I found their yearbook. I'm going through it, and I suspect that I'm going to find a familiar face. 1037. I told you.
Wait, in your yearbook? Did you just say in her yearbook?
Through it, and I suspect that I'm going to find on their full CB team 416. I found their yearbook. I'm going through it, and I suspect that I'm going to find a familiar face. 1037. I told you that Richard Yaco's father was in the Navy. I told you that.
That's the name of a fucking number of a fuck. I just mentioned this fucking 4-digit number on the side of a fucking submarine as like a dumb example. Nope. I mean, she's not talking about a submarine though, so I'm fucking being pretty unfair here.
That corresponds to the USS Braunstein. The commander was Stanley Thomas Counts, who ran engineering at Hughes Aircraft, ship hull 1037. Glenn Gee, That 3401 corresponds to the USS Darter. Darter in 1971.
Homegirl, that's fucking 25 years ago. Or I'm sorry, 55 years ago. Excuse me. You had to go back 55 years. Also, to be fair, there's this number looks like a zip code. Is this a zip code? Lady, this you should also find out. Is there a zip code 96663? Also, there's a 666 in there. Are you going to even point out that there's a 666 in there, Candace? Are you going to point that out or not?
That's a potential ritual?
Was moved to San Diego in that very year to support 7th Fleet operations.
You might want to look into that. Hail Satan.
Paul Baran 5704. That is the Armed Forces of Europe, Canada, the postcode 5074, and the Middle East. Whit Hubble, we've been.
So wait a minute. This is a zip code. That's what is a zip code. Wait a minute. These are zip code. Now she's looking at zip code. Oh my God.
Having trouble finding anything about Whit Hubble, so we are unsure about 7258. Somebody out there will be able to let me know. We have had.
Wait, we haven't found anything about Whit Hubble.
You have to be a cherry Marine to get to the top.
Well, why can't you find anything about Whit Hubble? What your fucking numerology fucking crystal ball broken?
Trouble even establishing who his family is, if he's connected to the Hubble telescope. So we.
Oh, you fucking cracked the code. He's connected to the Hubble telescope. It's in his name, actually. The number is just there to fucking distract you. Somebody in chat mentioned the spelling is different, but that's also there to put you off the trail. Excuse you.
When it comes to Whit Hubble. Stuart Levin 819. That was the naval post in 1971 in Spain. They sent.
Wait, I think she just used the picture of. She used the same picture twice, didn't she?
Out the MC4 engineering team. They arrived there in July of 1971. Jim Roney 43.
And she's going. Why is all this happening in 1971? Is something? Are you looking into the numerology in 1971?
5. That corresponds to the Moffett Camp Pendleton. And am I bringing that right? Moffett Federal Airfield. Yeah. Mountain View, California. Sorry. Where the Army Reserve's 7th Psychological Operations Group is based.
Oh, no. Moffett Field is like mostly shut down. What are you talking about? I'm fucking dying here.
We also have Jerry Shue. We have Camp Pendleton, CA.
That's literally just a zip code.
Is, of course, also a naval base in California. And then...
Wait a minute. Now she's just saying that now the 5486 is just the the number after the dash of the zip code where the naval base is. She isn't even like connecting it to anything. She's just like, look at this. He's at a place with a zip code and there's a number.
Last but not least, and you guys don't have to show this next one because I want to speak through this. Tom Williams, prisoner 2093. Is this a naval base? I get a hit, guys. I do get a hit of a naval base that it corresponds to, the naval unit rather that it corresponds to. And it is the only naval unit on the list that is not American owned. And it just so happens to be French owned. Clipperton.
Oh no, is this? Oh hell no, she's no. Oh fucking, I think I know. I'm not gonna fucking spoil it. I swear to you, I think I know where this is going. Oh no. Uh-oh. It's the French. Oh no.
An island. Who knew? A naval base on Clipperton Island. First thing I'm thinking is, what the heck is Clipperton Island? I'm wondering if it's me. My husband then says he's never heard of Clipperton Island, and that's crazy.
Oh my God. Candace, until now, I too had never heard of Clipperton or Clifferton Island. Oh my God. Did you know that there's an island somewhere that I haven't fucking heard of? And that fucking Candace Owens and her husband haven't heard of? Did you know this? This island is a secret. Anything that I and my husband don't know about is clearly a secret. They're trying to hide it from us.
My husband is the king of geography. Xavier Poussard says he's never heard of Clipperton Island. So let me show you this island that apparently not many people have heard of.
They're keeping it from me. It's right here on Google Maps. Jesus Christ.
Had a military naval base and presence that is a French island. Check this out on the map. Yep, let's go in here. Clipperton. What the heck goes on at Clipperton Island? It's incredible. So I'm wondering what goes on Clipperton Island. Nobody knows, okay? It's like...
No, you just told us there's a fucking naval base there. Like the French were a colonial power. It might just be that they still technically own that piece of property. And since they're an ally of the United States and we're the ones you'd have to worry about if your fucking island was right there, the U.S. is like, yeah, I don't care if you have a fucking few boats over there. Like, you just told us what it's for.
Are asking questions. The most you can find really is that it's got a pretty gory history. I think even on that link that you said that you just had up, it says that there's a lot of weird stuff that happens there. It's got folklore. I'm wondering what kind of folklore.
It's got folklore. Oh, there's folklore. The French were a colonial power, so they probably fucking kept slaves there or something at some point, right?
Why is France? What's France doing on Clipperton Island? And now I'm starting to feel real sure that prisoner 2093 is suspicious.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Friends, I don't know if you know this, but when there's an island that you've never heard of, and maybe it's not where you think it should be, that it's a conspiracy. Oh, no. So this one's we've really been trying not to cover this stuff from her about Charlie Kirk, but this is something.
If there is anything to know about Kabbalists.
Wait a minute, that's the same one. Hold on. I fucked something up. There's a live show, everybody, on the podcast. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. Oh, I'm going to have to do the other one during red light. I fucked something up. If you can imagine that, I fucked something up. Anyway, everybody, check this out. Thanks for listening to the podcast part of the show. We'll get the other clip from that in the red light part of the show. If you're watching live, just stay put. We're going over there. I just fucked up on my docket, and I have to actually log into Twitter to get the other clip. If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and follow us on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. If you want to support this project, do so at patreon.com/Echoplex or at eplex.store. That's via Fourth Wall. And I guess that's the pod. The first thing we're going to watch when we get back is going to be the other clip of her. That other clip is wild. This song is Boomers by Periscope, and I'm also going to turn the lights red and pour myself a cocktail because I feel like after what we just watched, I deserve it.